Networks don't talk about it. Government can't tax it. But sports betting is a $200 billion a year business.
That's a major U.S. Supreme Court ruling that could open the door for legalized sports betting all across the country.
The Supreme Court is giving the green light for states to determine on their own whether they want to legalize sports gambling.
Tell Donahue his next pick is good for 20 grand, but I need him to guarantee a win, okay? I need a lock.
He's not that fucking good.
No, Tommy, he has to. All right, he has to, or else they're going to kill me. Do you realize this, Tommy? They're going to fucking kill me. I can't afford to gamble anymore. I need a fucking lock.
Ooh, we're back. It is Lock Talk, Season 2 of Lock Talk. Season 2, Season 3? I think Season 3, technically, Joey and I did some back from March Madness that year. I am joined by a very good friend of mine from south of my border, at least, Etoft21sports. Eric, my guy. I woke up. We both live in the Midwest. There was a crisp in the air this morning. It was like 53 degrees. I had some long sleeves on, and brother, we were back. I've never been. Oh, it's the best every single year. Never gets old.
It's a great time. I absolutely love this time of year. Everyone's gun ho. Everyone's making a million futures. We were talking beforehand. I have way too many epic futures. I'm already going on my Rick Dennison is the best offensive line coach in the history of the NFL tangent and getting all excited about Seattle already. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. First time on, really looking forward to shooting the breeze with you and talking a little NFL futures, and hopefully my first half under can hit when we're live on the air.
Yeah, man. Hall of Fame game going on right now, and it's crazy. I've been on Eric's show, which I believe is every Tuesday night, if I remember correctly. On YouTube. He's getting 30, 40 people hopping in there. So definitely check him out. A lot of really good YouTube. I think he got, 500 YouTube subscribers?
I'm at 599. One more.
599. Someone go get that 600 spot.
One more to reach number 6. So just slowly grinding it out, my man.
Love that. Yeah, he's an OG of the game and doing it a long time. He hails by way of Illinois, but you see by the blue hat that he's wearing and the hat in the thumbnail, he is a Lions fan. So we will talk NFC North a little bit later. I made sure to put that last. So we'll keep the people waiting on that. So just wanted to run through a few things as far as season plans. Obviously, Joey's not here. As life changes, Joey sends all his best. He just got married. He lives in the hustle bustle of New York and has a much more important job than I do selling cars. So I can do things like this on the side. But going to have some revolving hosts. We'll have Eric on multiple times this season. We'll have my guy Stooley on as much as we can. Him and I are probably going to do some Sunday morning content just due to his work schedule. My guy Isaac Propster Damas is back in the fold this season. He is very excited to go through. He's actually getting into some card breaks, which I don't know if you do card breaks or anything like that. I haven't gotten into it as much.
No.
But a few other things. Lock Talk Big Board. Trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. I want to figure out, and maybe you have a way to do it, I want to be able to display all of the bets made by everybody on the show. I think a Google Doc is probably the most simple way to do it. I've seen other ways, but we'll brainstorm that as we go. I do have a pair of contests. We've got contests, rather. We do have the Lock Talk NFL Pick'em contest as well as the Survivor contest. Both of those are going to go live here at the end of August, so keep an eye out on my socials. I'm sure Eric will be getting involved with that. We got another year of fantasy football coming?
I don't know about that yet. I got to know about that. I'm not going to lie. Tuesday morning, getting that organization about cutting players.
It's a lot, man.
It was a little tougher than I thought. I'm currently scouting sites to see if there's a site that will do it instead of me automated doing it and messing it up and being on the phone with Yahoo for an hour every Tuesday morning.
Exactly. Well, for those of you that aren't aware of guillotine leagues, Eric set up a guillotine league last season where the lowest scoring team each week gets chopped out and their players become available. And some of us had never played in a guillotine league and understood the fact that the lowest scoring team was out, didn't understand that their players were becoming available at the end of each week. So we got to about week 8 And I'm like, man, I didn't really use my budget at all. All these guys are out of money. And I kind of looked, I'm like, wait a minute. How are these guys? Wait a minute. And lo and behold, that helped a lot because I won the league. I was able to basically own free agency for the back half of the season and win the Guillotine League, which I think was a 4 figures by the time it was all said and done. So loved that.
Yeah, that
so
was
yes,
I think he got like 14.
it was a lot. It was my biggest payout last season by far for fantasy football. So loved that.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but we've all been in that league. You got the money the next fucking day, dude.
That was, I have been in leagues, contests, you name it. That's a quick payout. Nobody's doing that. It is crazy. You wouldn't. That's a whole nother thing about payouts for fantasy. People just need to find a way to escrow that money so nobody actually ever holds it. I believe that's a pick 6 for Los Angeles.
Almost.
Not good. Oh, almost. All right, let's keep them out of the end zone here. All right, so that's basically our Hall of Fame check-in. So we have the Lions going on here against the Chargers. Eric, what is your number for the first half in this game? I can't believe you bet it, but it's awesome.
I got 17.5, but
17.5, not a bad number.
Not bad. I do have the Chargers in my captain spot for DFS, so grinding that out. Going to be doing a little bit more DFS content this year, and put the Chargers defense in my captain spot. So that helps. A pick 6 would have been really nice, but we'll see.
Pick 6 definitely would have been very cool. Well, what we're going to do next, as we have a few people that are in now, everybody make sure you hop in the chat. Thank you for reposting, Jordo. I appreciate you always. What I'm going to do next is a 2024 season in review. I'm going to see how quickly I can run through this. We were going to do trivia, and then I kind of realized I would suck at trivia. It's probably super unfair. Ooh, put this down. Probably super unfair to make Eric run through trivia and embarrass him with super weird questions. But so I'm going to run through this 5 minutes or less. We can talk about any of this after the fact. Are you ready?
I am ready. I have a random trivia. If anyone in the chat can answer it,
I love it.
Random trivia. I'm going to say it right now. There was one wide receiver that had at least 8 targets in 14 games.
8 targets in 14 games. There's only one guy in the whole league?
Only one guy.
I think I have a prop on him to lead the league in receiving yards is my only guess. So we are going to do that. Put your guesses in the chat. We'll see if anybody can figure it out. This is my 24 season in review. See if we can do it in 5 minutes or less. 7:38, 5 minutes on the clock. So preseason 24, pretty relatively quiet. J.J. McCarthy goes down with an injury. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the Vikings. So we go to opening night. It's Thursday Night Football, Baltimore, Kansas City. Great game by all accounts. We get a little bit of pepperings that, the refs might be for Kansas City again. Isaiah Likely just misses a game winner in the back of the end zone. Talk about the Isaiah Likely games, a name that we may never hear again. Chiefs win it in a nail-biter. Next is Friday night, NFL Brazil. My Packers go face the Eagles. Unfortunately, the biggest storyline is the field until the fourth quarter where Jordan Love gets sandwiched / rolled up on by Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat. Fortunately, Eagles win 34-29. So week 1, not actually as crazy going on. Darnold balls out in his Viking debut. The Bengals lose a stinker to the Patriots, which was unfortunately an omen of things to come. And then, do you remember Tyreek Hill getting detained before the game in week 1 in Miami? That was a weird story. We get a really good iteration of Rams and Lions, which I think is turning into one of my favorite rivalries in the NFL currently. It won't be that way when Stafford is gone. But what happened in that game was the injuries, Eric. I'm sure you remember the Rams started 1-4 last season, got their asses not beat on the scoreboard, just physically got their asses kicked on that Sunday night, and probably the reason they started 1-4. So week 2, let's talk Thursday Night Football. We got Tua Fingers, Volume 2. The weekend that featured the Raiders dropping Baltimore to 0-2. The ref struck again for KC, a really bad PI call in that Cincinnati game. For those of us that remember, Cincinnati goes to 0-2. And then the next few weeks, we see a career renaissance. Malik Willis is in Green Bay. The Bengals drop 4 of their first 5. And all of a sudden, the Commanders show up, 5-1. Jaden Daniels is getting all sorts of MVP hype. I know you and I talked super early when Daniels was just starting to play really, really well. And at the same time, Minnesota, Detroit, Philly. That ends up being the 3-headed monster coming out of the NFC. The Vikings had a nasty defense. We're talking Brian Flores' scheme that nobody seemed to figure out until they kind of did. That offense also very explosive. Not super surprised that Darnold thrived, especially with Kevin O'Connell. Now in New York, one of my favorite storylines of last season, the New York Jets. They stumbled to a 2-4 start. They go 2-3. Bob Saleh gets fired. And then Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee show. Remember Devontae Adams just sliding into the background? Everything's fixed. The season is saved. They went on to lose 9 of their last 12, and the Jets are starting from scratch. Now, back in October, we see both Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson gets benched. Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco time. Absolute mess. But honestly, people a little worried at the same time about Stroud and his sophomore slump. Difference was Stroud was 4-2. He was 6-2 heading into Halloween. Now, when we get into November was one of the funnier parts for me, and you'll find out in a second because our NFC North friends, the Chicago Bears, they were excited again. So the Bears are 4-2. Bo Nix has the Broncos at 5-3. Chicago, they're 4-2 going into a bye. Then they have this Week 8 game. It's the number 1 pick versus the number 2 pick. We get Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and it's a Hail Mary and the Bears lose. Yep. It was so perfect. And it may seem dramatic. The Bears season ended that night. They went on to lose 10 straight games, complete dumpster fire. They fire Eberflus in the process, had some weird other staff things going on in Hallis Hall. It was an absolute mess again. We'll talk Chicago in a little bit. I don't want to dig my own grave too much on that one. Let's talk injuries that are happening in the middle of the season. Rashee Rice, who we will talk about again here a little bit later, did go down in September. They took him out for the season. In Week 7, Deshaun Watson, unfortunately, popped that Achilles, which led to Jameis time in Cleveland, which I call a net positive. Then we see Dak go down to Week 9, pretty much ends Dallas' season, which what feels like kind of a yearly occurrence. And speaking of yearly occurrences, CMC hurt his PCL in December. Reports were ranging from, hey, he's going to be back in a few weeks, to he's never going to play football again. He's going to Germany. He's getting all this stuff done. Nobody actually finds out. Sounds like he's going to actually play to start the season. If not, it's going to be really, really quick. Now, a team we hadn't mentioned much during this process is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a super big head scratcher for those of us that remember. Start the season 10-3. Started with Justin Fields. Then they move over to Russell Wilson. Quarterback play was meh. Their defense was great. And then you also have Kansas City, who is 9-0 before they lose to Buffalo. Felt like Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. Pittsburgh, Houston, kind of on the outside looking in. It kind of felt that way all season. So, again, home stretch here. We've got KC, Baltimore, Buffalo on one side. Philly, Detroit, Minnesota emerging on the other side. Now, some traditional powers like Cincinnati, San Francisco, Dallas, all are eliminated. Cincinnati kind of held on until Week 18. They needed an absolute miracle. It didn't happen. Bryce Young did play his way back into a job, played well. We also saw Kirk Cousins get benched for Michael Penix. So Atlanta continues to be super confusing. And then we get Week 18. Really, the one note I had from Week 18 is we see Game 1 of Sam Darnold showing flashes of Sam Darnold. It was a battle for the 1 seed, a terrific game by all accounts, and he just didn't show up. It was a very, very odd deal. Bad news Bears. And that moves us to the wild card stretch. And we talked about this. The wild card was hot ass. It was terrible. I'd be lying to you if I told you it was enjoyable. Saturday, Herbert throws 4 picks in the first game. They lose to the Texans. Then you get Baltimore showing us that Pittsburgh is exactly who we thought they were through the whole season. The Bills, they start Sunday at noon, dummying the Broncos 31-7, completely squashed them out. My Packers didn't show up against Philly, and honestly, Philly looked decent, not Super Bowl-ish at that point. But then we saw Washington and Tampa Bay have a great game as Washington advanced on Sunday night. And then we saw Darnold look bad again, which probably costed him a good chunk of money. He still got paid, definitely costed him some money in the long run, and probably took him off some contenders' boards to be their starting quarterback this season. So we move on to the divisional round. Traditionally, my favorite weekend of the year, Eric. This is where you get the best football. The cream of the crop rises to the top. Now, let me know if you've heard this one. We begin with some questioning officiating in Kansas City. Now, at the same time, you can't win playoff games scoring 1 touchdown. Houston was never AFC championship contender this year, in my opinion. Chiefs end up rolling through that one 23-14. Saturday night was the stunner. Jaden Daniels comes into Detroit, drops 45, and just wipes Detroit off the board. And Detroit is back to starting from scratch, lose both coordinators. We'll talk about the Lions in a little bit. I'm not super worried about the Lions, but that was killer. Then we move on to Sunday. Eagles-Rams. We get the snow game. Super badass. The Rams ultimately lose 28-22, but the Eagles are starting to show, okay, our defense is kind of nuts. The offense doesn't need to be perfect. They're starting to feel championship-esque. But again, on the other side, it's like, well, Jaden Daniels just knocked off Detroit. So how much do we believe in the Eagles? So we get a whole week leading up to that where I believe the line was around a touchdown. I'd have to go back and look at it. I know it wasn't a super tight line. The Eagles were getting a lot of respect. But, however, the other side, we get Baltimore-Buffalo. Baltimore-Buffalo starts with Lamar not looking good. And I was really worried that we were going to get a whole nother offseason of Lamar can't win the big one. He is dog shit in the playoffs. Does work it back to a tie game, comes back from 2 scores down. And then, do you remember the Mark Andrews 2 points right in the basket? Chance to tie it. Drops it. Season over for the Ravens. Moved us to the conference championship. 3 games left in the season. Truly the story of 2 games conference championship Sunday. The NFC, the Eagles stomped the Commanders. It was 55-23. Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns. Saquon had 3 rushing touchdowns. The defense held Daniels and that explosive Commanders offense to almost nothing. And then the AFC, hopefully we can't hear my background. I just realized I've got the volume going on the on the game. Anyways, the other one, we're talking Buffalo and KC once again. The game didn't disappoint. Buffalo leads by 1 early in the 4th quarter. They got 4th and 1. Josh Allen gets stopped short. Buffalo's not dead. KC goes down, scores. Buffalo scores. We got a tie game. And cue Patrick Mahomes and some bullshit again. They go down the field, get a little bit of a gift from the referees, and T-Bass smokes a 55-yard field goal. Bills stall out. We get a Super Bowl rematch. And that was pretty much where the excitement stopped for the Super Bowl for me. It was 34-0 in that game at one point. I think a lot of us are going to kind of wipe that from our memories. We shouldn't. This was an absolute dog walking. I think Philly had one of maybe the most dominant playoff run that I've seen. 145-77. That averages 36-19 as a final score, a 17-point win margin in the playoffs. And that was the 2024 season in like 7 minutes. So not too shabby.
Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all.
What was some of your favorite moments from last season that stood out to you? What are some things maybe that surprised you, that changed your mind on something? What kind of comes to mind right away?
Well, I mean, I was heavily invested in the Eagles. Hitting that future was nice. Play of the game was I had Devontae Smith to score a touchdown and to his over receiving prop. So that 42-year-old touchdown.
Nice.
Phenomenal. Things that surprised me were how good of a season Baker Mayfield had.
Sure.
Really took off in the Liam Cohen system. That really stood out to me. How quickly Travis Etienne fell off the face of the earth.
Hank Bigsby just took his job, dude.
And then how the Chiefs the last 2 years have kind of morphed into a defensive first team. And no one really seems to be talking about that. I got some stuff. I have some hot takes here kind of when it comes to the Chiefs and the futures that, I locked in with them. And the other thing is what could have been in New Orleans. I was very high on New Orleans last year. I had them to make the playoffs. I had them to win the South. And until the wheels fell off with all the injuries, they looked pretty good.
94 points through the first 2 weeks.
But then offensive line injuries, Derek Carr went hurt, and everything just started falling apart with them. I have interesting bets. I have player props. I have crazy ass long shot futures for people. So, interested to see where you're at with this, and looking forward to jumping into this stuff, my man.
Right on. Well, let's close the book then on 2024 and talk off-season 2025. And off-season 2025 started up in my neck of the woods. The draft was in Green Bay. It was an absolute success, and I didn't go. I had a bachelor party in South Bend, Indiana, and wasn't able to attend. A little bit of FOMO. It is what it is. It was super, super well done from everything that I heard about it. And I've got three teams that I liked, but I'm going to let you go first. What is one team that stood out to you that drafted well, and what do you like?
It pains me to say this, dude. It absolutely pains me to say this. But I liked what the Dallas Cowboys did. You got Brooker, the guard. You got Aluz Raku in the second round to help with the pass rush. You got Ravels, the kid from ECU. Then later on, you got Maffa from Clemson and Blue from Texas to help in the backfield. And then you got Cornelius, a tackle from Oregon. So, I mean, what Jerry used to do great years ago was beef up the trenches. And then he kind of got away from that. And I felt this year he kind of went back to it. I think they addressed some of their needs. They got Rivas in the back four, made the offensive line better, and got some help in the back running the ball, because last year their backfield was awful. They had, Rico and Ezekiel back there. So now their backfield's better. I think the Cowboys, after what they did in the draft, are better than what they were last year.
Yeah, that would pain me to say as well, but I do agree. Blue out of Texas was one of my favorite. I wanted Green Bay. Granted, I knew because we took Marshawn Lloyd last year that we were probably out on the running back market. He was a guy that I thought could fit in our scheme as well. The first team that I want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. Now, I have said the Browns have drafted great many, many times in my life, and that's mostly based on hype. Now, this year, they didn't do that. They had the opportunity to make the hype pick. They could have taken Hunter at 2, and everything that the Browns have ever done has told us that, well, that's the pick they take. They don't. They trade back from 2. They grab Mason Graham. I like Mason Graham. Don't love him. They needed a guy to help beef up already a very, very good front 7. Round 2, they get both Carl Schweisinger from UCLA, who's fine, but then they get Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins is another running back I was super high on out of Ohio State. But then maybe my favorite pick of the draft, they got Harold Fannin. And now I am a bit of a Mac nerd, so I've been watching him absolutely light up Tuesday and Wednesday nights for the last few seasons, but he's a tight end that, and actually I'm going to talk about David Njoku a little bit later. I think David Njoku is going to take him under his wing and turn him into an absolute stud. I love that Harold Fannin goes there, and then they get a little weird. You go Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd, you get Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson in the 4th, and then comes the Shedeur pick. I honestly, with or without the Shedeur pick, I still love the Browns draft. I'm not super high on Sanders, and especially to take him after Gabriel. What do you think of the Browns?
I hate Dylan Gabriel with a passion.
I'm not a big fan either.
Hate Dylan Gabriel with a passion. I'm doing this DFS show with my boy Kyle. We're starting our positional breakdowns, and we had to have a hot take for the tight end position. My hot take was the Browns move Njoku. Okay. And Harold comes in and he wins someone a fantasy football title. That
dude can play. He can play.
I think Njoku gets moved, and I think he takes over. I really think a lot with the Browns. Now, this is hindsight being 50-50. What's going on with the Ohio State kid, Judkins?
Judkins?
With the legal situation.
Yeah, and so I read on that. It sounds like it's fine, but it's not. It's still a stain.
And you got Kamara Jr. and Sampson. So, I mean, I really like what they did. My only hiccup is the Dylan Gabriel and the Sanders thing, the 2 quarterbacks. That's really
the quarterbacks are the head scratchers, and for a team that is maybe the strangest quarterback room that we've seen in years, that was the one thing that I didn't really understand. I'll do a little round robin here. The next one I thought of that really drafted well, it was the Kansas City Chiefs. It was kind of a rough offensive season. They could have panicked. And they could have been like, all right. I kind of thought the Chiefs might take Harold Fannin, which was terrifying to think about because that just seems like kind of a plug-and play. But they didn't do that. They went tackle with Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, who would have been probably a top 10, 12-ish pick, but he had a banged-up knee last season. And then they stay in the trenches. Tennessee D tackle Omar Norman Lott, and Louisville edge Ashton, I think it's Giat, which is hilarious. Uh, they're both going to be rotational guys. But the one that I love, and it terrifies me because I do think they found a diamond in the rough. Their fourth round receiver Jalen Royals. Are you familiar with Mr. Royals and his work at all?
Not off the top of my head, my friend.
That is okay because he came by way of Utah State. So he has an interesting story. He began his career at the Georgia Military College. He has a military background in his family. Super, super clean-cut kid. Great grades. Didn't see time as a sophomore after he transferred. And then 2023 comes. He completely breaks out. He's got 1,080 yards, 15 touchdown catches. And then this year, kind of deals with a foot injury a little bit. He only played in 7 games. He averaged 119 yards per game. The guy can play ball. And he also did it with Spencer Petras as his quarterback. And for those of us in Big Ten country, he stinks. So, yeah, nothing but good things to say about him. I fear they may have found a demon in Royals. But yeah, anything in the Chiefs to you stood out that you liked or disliked?
There's just certain teams that always seem to do well. And the Chiefs are just one of them. You know, they have the foundation in the scouting department to make sure they get the right type of guys. Obviously, the pick of Royal makes a ton of sense because of the unseen stuff with Rice. Just grinding out this under 17 is just phenomenal right now.
This is
I still got a lot of time. I'm gonna need like the Lions to go for it, and yeah,
Is there a number 19 Lockett running around for the Lions out there?
Love it.
I'm looking at, my eyes aren't great, I will say. I'm looking at him like, Lockett? No. I didn't say that unamused this offseason. But yeah, and anything else on the Chiefs before you move on to your next one?
No.
Perfect. Who you got for your second and third teams?
I love what the Cardinals did. They have a defensive coach in Gannon. They did not use a pick on the offensive side of the ball until the 6th round. They just went heavy in the trenches. And when you kind of look at who they added last year, they bring in Josh Sweat to get that pass rusher for them. Then they just started getting dudes. They took Norton, who's going to be a beast on the defensive line, pairing him with Sweat. And then Johnson from Michigan fell down because of that late alleged knee injury. They got him very late, like I think at the end of the first, beginning of the second. Absolutely love what's going on. And they're going to be sneaky good defensively. And when you look at their offense, that's a team that's building it the right way, and they're in a position to make some noise. Another team I like, and this is mainly because of their first 3 picks, the Patriots. They went out, you got Will Campbell, maybe the best offensive lineman in the draft. Stevenson was having a hard time fumbling the ball. You went and you got Henderson to take some tension off of him.
Needed to find a second back so bad.
Obviously, when you look at May's split, Hunter Henry had a 21% target share when May was the quarterback. So you definitely needed somebody, a wide receiver. You got the kid from Washington State and Williams. So it means offensive line, check. Running back, check. Wide receiver, check. Boom, 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 boom. You gave your second-year quarterback some weapons. So I absolutely loved what they did.
Nice. No, I absolutely agree. Anytime you can take pressure off of any, especially in New England, they only had one running back. Now, it rocked for fantasy because you kind of knew how things were going to go. But in this league, you can't do anything with only one guy back there. So my last team that I want to talk about that I like how they drafted, I kind of love how my Green Bay Packers drafted. I got to say it, 23 seasons, sweet release. They finally take a receiver, and it honestly felt kind of forced. I don't know if Matthew Golden was their guy. There was a lot of people that said if they were going to take a receiver, they were going to trade up and take McMillan, which body-wise, I like McMillan more. But honestly, I was a little apprehensive about Golden at first. And then we take Savion Williams in the third round. And I'll be honest, didn't know a ton about Savion going into the draft process. The more I watch him, the more I fall in love. This guy lines up everywhere. He is in the slot. He's in an H-back wing position. He's in the backfield. He's flanked off to the quarterback. TCU runs a very, very unique air raid type offense. So obviously some of that doesn't translate to the NFL. But then he also is a great kick returner. And I'll tell you, Keyshawn Nixon has been very, very vocal that he's kind of done with his whole kick return era, and he has moved on to be a corner, for better or for worse. So I love taking Savion and Golden early, but then we did something that I think was terrific is we didn't get sexy. We drafted 3 defensive linemen and 2 offensive linemen and just started. We needed depth. We just needed depth, and they went out and did that. I felt we didn't draft a random quarterback, which we've seemingly been doing every now and again in the back rounds. We do take cornerback Micah Robinson from Tulane, which everything I'm seeing, hopefully in the rotation, maybe not, maybe a practice squad guy. But just the fact that we went from very, very sexy picks to then it felt like day 2 and 3, the guys locked in and took positions that we really, really needed. So any thoughts on my Packers taking anybody that, I mean, Matthew Golden can't worry you as a fan.
It irritates the living crap out of me always wearing number 22.
Oh,
like,
dude, I
was like, who the hell's 22? And then
dude,
I had to like look. I was like, oh,
it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna look terrible.
He's definitely got to get a new number. Like,
and he's not gonna do it. Because he is like super. He's very much. He's a smart guy, and everything I've seen is super affluent. But he is very much. I'm doing it my way. And 22 is definitely saying I'm doing it my way.
I think it all hinges with them because they rolled the dice. They did something they haven't done in so long. If Golden turns out to be that dude that Love needs, turns out to be that alpha wide receiver, it's brilliant. But if he turns out to be like just another Jalen Reed or
brother, if we get another number 2/3 receiver, it's going to be bad.
That's going to be that's what that draft's going to be graded on, no matter how good those other back players turn out.
Well, and what's unfortunate for him is you have a lot of second and third round guys that just aren't getting paid that much money, and he's going to be getting first round money. And yeah, sorry, your contract's more. You have to perform better than these guys, even though I'd say all those guys, everybody would be happy to have on their team. The Watsons, the Dubs, the Reeds of the world, the Wicks, everybody would love to have those guys. But you don't want to have them as their number 1. More often than not, you really don't want them as their number 2. So yeah, it's a position that we needed so badly to find an alpha. I don't know if it's the little fast guy though. The little fast guy is never really the alpha. Outside of Tyreek Hill, when is the little fast guy ever the alpha? So that's why I thought McMillan made a little bit more sense. But hey, I will gladly. It was a hell of a moment. 23 years, you do it in front of your own fans. He's there. His name is Golden, which is kind of sick, I gotta admit. So yeah, but that's the thing too, is Golden with a good number, that jersey goes crazy. Golden with 22 just doesn't work. I was just at the pro shop and I'm looking at it, I'm like, fuck, this is not
number 22. Speaking of, this is totally. I was at the Brewers game on Saturday.
Nice.
Saw the best jersey ever. This young lady had, oh crap, there was my under. Had a
oh no.
Well, dude, when you got Kyle Allen converting 2 4th downs, you deserve to lose the under.
Yeah, when I saw Kyle Allen, that was a sight for sore eyes.
She was number 00, name on the back of the jersey, days sober.
Gotta love
phenomenal.
I'm gonna guess she was in a Brewers jersey.
She was in a Brewers jersey. She was loving life. She let me take a little picture of it. She's being a good sport.
I respect that. My wife would never be caught dead in something like that, but my wife is also an educator, so I don't think that plays.
Yeah.
So let's move on out of draft time. So the draft ends, and then free agency kicks in pretty quickly, and we start finding some. Oh, never mind. Some new faces in new places. I'm going to kind of run through it quick. We'll kind of get. I didn't do a huge list, so most of it's the big one. So First one, I wanted to start here because I'm super curious, especially now that it's been talked about that Matt Stafford's a little banged up. Devontae Adams is a Ram, and there's a chance he has to have Jimmy G throw him hospital balls for the first couple of weeks of the season once again. And I love that.
My notes, I put Rams to Adams. I hate, does nothing for me. He's old. He's going to fall off a cliff no matter who's throwing him the ball.
I feel as though him and DeAndre Hopkins are seeing a very similar end to their careers.
Why is McVay playing a hype video for him when he introduces him to a team meeting? That seems a little quirky to me. That seems a little weird. Doesn't make much sense to me at all.
Devontae Adams has been told by everybody that he talks to that he is the best thing that's ever happened to the wide receiver position. So nothing surprises me for what people need to do to move his needle. The one that actually was, I thought, maybe one of the best moves of the offseason, Joe Thuney to the Bears. Not too shabby. I like that one a lot for Chicago. Obviously, you got to protect a young quarterback. You can afford to pay guys like that right now. I like that they're not investing a bunch of money in more defensive line help, which is seemingly where they always put all their money. But yeah, I like that one for Chicago.
Another one, Dalman to Chicago from the Dolphins. Obviously, with Frank the Tank retiring, he's now one of the best two centers in the league.
Yeah.
So, who could be the best center in the league this year for what Johnson likes to do and the interior offensive line being such a key. I really like that one a lot.
100%.
Another one that I like more to the Titans, shores up the offensive line with one of the best offensive line coaches with Callahan. Going to help that rookie Ward. I'll read off a couple if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Bosa to the Bills. The thing with Romaine McDermott likes to play defense. It's all about the quote unquote natural pass rush. He is not a heavy blitzer at all.
Sure.
And getting someone like
get home with 4.
Yep, getting someone like Bosa that can hopefully just be that, not even at this stage of his career, be an every down player. Just come in and rush the quarterback. I think if this works out, that is going to be huge for them. The Lions got Reed. They have been awful, and I have some stats we'll get to later on. Defending the pass,
that's exactly what I had.
Awful, and they play man, and now you got some guy that's graded out well in man. Absolutely love that. Milton Williams to the Patriots help. The Vrabel defense has always had that big monster inside, and that's desperately what the Patriots needed. Now, look, I'm going to say it. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy at all, but they can get out of the contract after a year.
That was one of the best put together deals that I've seen in a while.
They drafted Jet Milrow. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious what they're doing.
Well, and you went and you got a veteran receiver like Kupp. You kind of feel like this is their, all right, let's see if we can squeeze some juice out of this. Otherwise, we move on and cut losses.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like that. I love Fields to the Bears. I absolutely love
to the Jets.
To the Jets.
Yeah.
Jesus, to the Jets. What am I talking about? To the Jets. Absolutely love that one. Sweat to the Cardinals. I mentioned earlier gives them the pass rush that they absolutely need.
I didn't realize he had 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. I was looking at that. I'm like, damn.
Allen.
They did get home a lot.
Allen to the Vikings. Flips the floor. Aggressive style. Love that. And then also for DFS purposes, I think Ward is terrible. And him going to the Colts means I'm going to look to target the Colts more in DFS. So I mean, that's kind of my notes. Do I have anything? Diggs to me is the same as Adams, coming off a knee injury. Him going to the Patriots doesn't do that much to me. Banks.
We have 12,000 people watching right now. What the fuck?
Banks to the Packers.
I like that.
But like I'm gonna talk a little bit about that one when we get to the our breakdowns and everything. I don't know if he fits the blocking system. That's my worry. I don't know if he fits the blocking system.
No, I agree. That was a little bit of a, it's great. We can go out and get a lineman. One lineman that you didn't mention that I'm interested to hear your perspective. Laramie Tunsil goes for 4 draft picks, goes for a third, a seventh, a future second, and a fourth.
And he's coming off a down season.
Off a bad year.
I mean, that's just absolutely insane to me that's happening.
Oh, no, 100%. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's a little bit of a panic move. You have a young quarterback. You need to figure out exactly where he's going with it. But that's a good way to go about it. Some other ones that I had that we didn't touch on. Pickens gets traded to the Cowboys. That'll be an interesting one, seeing him line up across from CD. Geno Smith gets traded to the Raiders. I kind of like what's going on, dare I say, with the Raiders right now. Jair Alexander is a Raven and immediately gets the injury that Packers trainers told the front office worried them. So that's interesting. Deebo Samuel to the Commanders. Deebo to the Commanders doesn't move the needle. Doesn't move the needle for me much either. And then talk about not moving the needle. Russ signs with the Giants. So not exactly what we would say is super duper exciting, but I am super confused how the viewers we are at 15,500 viewers right now.
It's what it is, man. Just go ahead.
I guess we broke the algorithm. All right, so that is enough about new places, new faces. What I did want, and I didn't actually put any down, I was going to pull it up here. Any new coaches that you are super excited about? I'm excited about Vrabes. Honestly, Ben Johnson doesn't do much for me. Glenn doesn't do much for me. What are your thoughts? You had 2 coordinators that went to huge. You probably had the 2 most sought after guys.
I mean, the coaching hire that does the most for me, and it's going to be a positional coach, a package deal. Kubiak and Dennison going to Seattle, I really think, for me, opens up a lot of stuff. They're going to be huge in the running game. Kenneth Walker is going to be in line for an absolute huge season. I think Saleh as the DC going back to the Niners is absolutely huge. Allen going to the Bears, absolutely, positively huge for them. In terms of head coaching, Baker Mayfield had his best season, threw for over 4,000 yards with Liam Cohn. Now he goes to Jacksonville. Are we going to see Trevor Lawrence finally become what everyone thought Trevor Lawrence should have been when he came out? Who is going to emerge in that backfield?
The way you're talking.
And also, if you just look at the splits, if you look at what Brian Thomas Jr. did with Mac Jones and did with Trevor Lawrence, it's night and day. All of his production came with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
100%.
There's a lot of really interesting stuff with me when I look at what Liam Cohn did. So him, to me, is the interesting hire. But in terms of like coaches overall, Dennison and Kubiak going up to Seattle, Saleh coming back to the 49ers, those kind of pique my interest.
No, I agree. The Saleh thing, I thought for a second he was going to end up in Green Bay. He was doing some consulting during the season last year, and everybody's like, oh, Bob Saleh's in Green Bay. It's like, well, when you're a fired coach, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want. You're getting paid to do nothing. But yes, I don't mind that. Liam Cohen, like you said, is one that feels like you gave him the keys to a pretty good situation. But again, you can get the best situation possible, a la Caleb Williams last season, that apparently had the best wide receiver room that a young quarterback's ever had. And apparently it still may not matter. So that is enough of that. Next, we are going to go team by team. We are going to talk win-loss total. We are going to talk props and futures and just anything we want to talk about team by team. Figure we run through this. I want to start in the AFC North, which is traditionally one of the most competitive in the league, probably the most entertaining, I would say, between the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Ravens. I am going to start with the Browns. The Browns this offseason, like we talked about, a couple big names in the draft. They did do a good job drafting names of people know, and I might have succumbed to that a little bit when I was going through my draft grades. It's like, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy. But other than that, they didn't do a ton to really bolster this team. They did pick up Deontay Johnson, who just continues to use his AFC North punch card, and I believe he'll be allowed to go to any AFC North game. in his career. But yeah, outside of that, and for the Browns, I had no David Njoku season long props for the first time in years. I've been a David Njoku fan. You talked about you feel like he is on the chopping block. I don't hate that way of thinking. He does feel like a leader in that locker room, but they're kind of starting anew a little bit. So, any thoughts on the Browns? The Browns were 3-14 last year. I'm trying to pick up. Let me pull up their win total for this season.
Their win total, I think it's like 5.5.
I think it's 5.5. I just had it up and it crashed on me. 4.5, even better, even better. Yeah, man. I mean, it's the Browns. Is there any redeeming qualities on this team that you're like, oh, I kind of like what they're doing here?
Well, obviously the big thing last year is they took a step backwards when Callahan left to follow his son to Tennessee. Their offensive line has been their identity. And when you just listen to this, 27th in pass blocking, 30th in run blocking, 31st in sacks allowed, they were awful. They bring in Mike Bullgreen from Rice to be the new offensive line coach. More speed, more outside zone type runs. And that's why they drafted Jerkins and Sampson, because of their speed. I think, to me, it comes down to who's the quarterback. Is it Flacco or Sanders? You're going to push it to the all outside. If it's small hands, Kenny Pickett, more underneath stuff. If it's Dylan Gabriel, 100% tanking, don't care about the season. Stefanski, in my eyes, 100% coaching for his job.
Oh, definitely.
Third
week by week basis for him.
Third OC. Oh my God, they just scored again. Wow. Third OC in 3 years. The thing that kind of stood out for me, Cedric Tillman, ADP 162. After Cooper got traded and before he got hurt, he was averaging 18.6 fantasy points per game. That's on the same level as Justin Jefferson and St. Brown. So that's pretty good. Obviously, you mentioned Mason Graham. That's going to help against the run. Garrett's Garrett. He's going to have 15. He's going to have 15 sacks. The thing to me is what's going to – I think we could all agree the Browns and Saints are probably going to be the first two teams to pack it in and look to move assets.
Oh, 100%.
So, Njoku, they have some good DBs. Do they – you know what I mean? Like, at what point does this team look to sell?
I think last year, didn't they look at it like Myles Garrett is not a tradable contract due to salary cap restrictions? They'd have to like get rid of other good players just to get rid of him.
It's
a mess.
Like, look, he deserves to get paid, and I think we're going to see them trade Njoku, trade some of their DBs, let our boy Fan get a little run. But at the end of the day, this team somehow has the second hardest schedule, and their quarterback room is a complete mess. I absolutely did nothing. As soon as Flacco or Sanders are starting a game, I'm going to look to take Cedric Tillman overs for prop betting purposes on a game that he wrote this. But other than that, nothing. Just kind of chilling, dude. Just kind of chilling.
I don't disagree. So let's move off the Browns. A little bit of a depressing team to talk about. Period. Let's talk about
real quick. Who do the Browns play week 1? They play the Bengals. Now listen to these trends, my friend. Listen to these trends.
Oh, God.
All week 1 trends. Divisional dogs, 70-49 week 1. 59% against the number, 14% ROI. Home divisional dogs, week 1. 25-18 ATS, 65% with a 27% ROI. Straight up. Home divisional dogs, week 1. 28% ROI. I am money line and spread Browns week 1, and I fucking hate my life for doing it.
Wow. What is the what is the line at this moment? Do you know?
Let me look at the line.
Yeah, they're all very available.
But to me, I feel this is something you don't need to like go and sprint to bet, because I feel it's just going to be more people coming in. Let me see. NFL. Week 1 NFL 5.5 and plus 198. No, plus 210.
I have a feeling by come that weekend you're going to be able to get a touchdown.
Oh yeah, so I'm totally chilling. I'm totally
Oh,
waiting.
100%.
There's no point in me rushing trying to get it. I'm just going to chill.
Oh, yeah. That anytime you have these early season, you like a dog somewhere, just wait. Just wait. The squares are coming in Sunday morning. They're hammering that 5.5, pushing it to 6. They'll push it to probably 6.5. And honestly, they have enough time now. They could push it to 7 to 7.5. So, no, that's definitely an interesting one. Let's talk Bengals. Bengals are an interesting one. The Bengals last season had a very disappointing end. They go 9-8. A ton of defensive woes. And I'd love to say that they went in and they went and got a bunch of great defensive players. They went and got Oren Burks. Great. He's an ex-Packer. He was okay. They right now have a 9.5 win total. I think that's right on the nose. I don't think much of it. I do, though, have a Joe Burrow MVP ticket, plus 600. I do think you can get it at plus 700. Some of us live in Wisconsin where we only have a set amount of lines. But I did a half unit at plus 600. I feel really strong. Burrow last season, there was no way they could give it to him with how bad his team was. I think if they make the playoffs, he might get a benefit of the doubt MVP that would drive people crazy. But a lot of these other guys have got one already. So, I mean, what is he going to steal one from Jaden Daniels? Daniels will get one down the line. It's not a huge deal. I think Burrow's next in line. I think him at plus 600 is some good value.
To me, I mean, look, they lost Amarillo, but they did get Stuart Henderson back in camp. I've never really been a big Al Golden guy. I don't think he is a good play caller when it comes to defense, but I love the offense, but the defense to me just isn't there. And their schedule is tougher than people realize. To me, the Bengals, they're just a variance team. What is their record in one possession games? That's going to determine how good they are. If they have a bad record in one possession games,
we're looking at the exact same season again. We're looking at 9-8. We're looking at
if they have a Vikings type record, they're going to be sniffing the playoffs.
Those were the tales of two teams. We're looking at two teams. The Vikings won those close games. The Bengals just didn't. And you see the Vikings got in the playoffs. And if you would have had the Vikings play the Bengals in the wild card round, I would have had my money on the Bengals, and it would not have been all that close. Yeah. But obviously those are things that cannot happen. And
then the one big thing that teams started to do last year, let me pull this up. Average depth of target from Jamar Chase went from 9.4 yards to 8.7, but his yard after the catch went to 6.4. On the flip side, T. Higgins' yards after the catch dropped to 4.1.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of a big thing. And one thing that I've known in this is when we are playing the Bengals, if it's a man team, you take Chase. If it's a zone team, you take Higgins in DFS. That is the one thing that I've kind of
write that down.
In DFS.
In DFS.
Oh, and one more thing. Another thing for fantasy, and actually, I like this one. I bet Chase Brown over 825.5 rushing yards here. The thing that stood out to me was this, is the Browns were 30th in rushing yards. Chase Brown was 17th in total rushing yards, and he didn't take over the backfield until Moss got hurt. So that tells me he is the workhorse, and he's going to be getting the majority of the work. And that's something that Taylor did with Joe Mixon back in the day. So my first bet, Chase Brown over 825.5 yards rushing.
I like it. I looked at Joe Burrow. I think his passing yards are very, very cheap, but then you worry about longevity with Burrow. We've seen him already go down with injury multiple times in his career. I thought the MVP at plus 600, just a lot less exposure if there is injuries. Let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers. We kind of mentioned they finished the season 10-7, fizzle out in the playoffs in a 28-14 loss to Baltimore. And as I said during the recap, they kind of were who we thought they were at the end of the day. They just weren't that good of a football team. And what does a not that good of a football team do? They go get Aaron Rodgers. They go get Aaron Rodgers. They go get DK Metcalf. They go get Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, a bunch of names that are 30 some odd years old, except DK.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. I look at this team now. This is the $1 million question. Is Rodgers bought in? You mentioned how they're older on some of those skills, the defense, but they're really young on the offensive line, and the offensive line did improve. I think it's going to take another step forward. Rodgers, for the first time in his career, first time since 2018, he won't have full control of the offense.
Yeah.
He's going to follow the blueprint. 3 of the last 4 years, he led the NFL in audibles. Now he's not going to have that. Is he going to buy in? You got DK Metcalf, who Rodgers is going to force him the ball to.
Sure.
You got Caleb Johnson, who, if is announced the full-time starter with this wide zone they want to run there, they ran the wide zone at Iowa. I think he's a legit dark horse for offensive rookie of the year.
He's a great fit.
Defensively, they re-signed Watt. They got Hayward, Benton, Harmon, strong interior presence. Queen plugs the middle. You got Holcomb and Harrison. You got Slay, Ramsey, and Torhill. And the thing that it does with those guys is it just gives them more flexibility to play more man coverage and make this group just more dynamic. And they're going to be what they're going to be. They're going to win games they shouldn't win, and they're going to lose games they shouldn't lose. Offensive line is improved. Defensive line, when Watts plays, is legit. I plan a plus 148 to make the playoffs, dude. Their schedule is insanely doable. They're going to start off 10-2, and then they're going to win. No, dude, I'm just threw that number out there, but they're going to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that number out there. They're going to start off, and we're going to look like 9-10 weeks in and be like, oh shit, the Steelers,
right?
And it's going to kind of be that COVID year like they had with Big Ben. You know, they started off great, then they limped their way into the playoffs. I think that's what the Steelers are going to be. Plus 148 to make the playoffs. Absolutely love it.
I don't hate that at all. If you believe in Aaron Rodgers, there are so many cheap props out there. I think with a good season, and it's not what the award is meant for, he could win Comeback Player of the Year for no reason. He was very much available last year and healthy, 100%. Hard to say. But the one thing with the Steelers we didn't mention, their greatest addition might have been a subtraction. Minkah Fitzpatrick. I don't know if you remember, TJ Watt had a soundbite during the season last year where he said it's hard when everybody's doing their job but one guy.
Yeah.
And everybody speculated that it was Minkah Fitzpatrick. And what do you know? They cut ties. And then they go and they get Slay, they get Ramsey, which, you know, both veteran guys. I don't know how much more Jalen Ramsey has in the tank. I love Darius Slay. Big play Slay is great. But I think their greatest addition was the subtraction. And I've got a few buddies that are really good Steelers fans. And that was as exciting of an offseason move as Aaron Rodgers was to get rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick. So I like what the Steelers are doing right now. Pittsburgh's win total, I think, is 9.5 as well. I'm just confirming that. Pittsburgh, 8.5 rather. 8.5. So, I mean, if you believe in the Steelers, there is definitely some money to be made on props. That's for sure. Let's talk about the Ravens, man. I am super interested about the Ravens. 12-5 last season. Biggest offseason addition. They go and get Cooper Rush. Big fan of his game. Think he might overtake Lamar Jackson. No, but in all seriousness, DeAndre Hopkins is on the team. That's weird. Jair, also not a big fan of that. Not a huge fan of the guys that they picked up in the offseason, but I think Lamar is just Lamar Jackson at this point. I think he is chalk him up to 11, 12 wins a season. They've got an 11.5 win team total. There's a lot of Lamar and Derrick Henry props that are probably way overpriced. And one of those guys is more than likely going to get hurt because they were super healthy last season. And that kind of offense, those guys staying healthy through a whole season, you're going to win a lot of games. So I think with the Ravens, it goes with their health. I don't have any props that I like with them. I don't hate the team total or win total going over. What say you about the men in Baltimore?
The big thing, Orr had a rough first start last year as the coordinator DC, tried to run the M&M system, but he pivoted and started doing more of his stuff. They got some more pass rushers in because he likes to blitz more. And when we look at what they did, they had the second most blitz, the second most sacks without blitzing. And that they did that because of how bad their DB depth was, and they really struggled in coverage. They're going to be playing more man this year. They added Green in the draft, which is absolutely huge. Fell to them because of some off the field stuff. Can Kyle Van Noy, who's going to turn 33, have another year of production? What is it going to look with no Justin Tucker being able to be the kicker? Are they this new guy going to make the kicks? Brutal early schedule. They got 3 road games after the bye. Health regression guaranteed. Henry aging. Like, when is this Derrick Henry downfall going to happen?
Where is the wall? Where is the wall?
Predicted. Harbaugh 10-6-1 to the over in his lifetime. I think with how their schedule is, I think you can kind of marinate on them for a little bit, and then you're going to be able to get basically a better number on them. Another worry point for me is their wide receiver group. Flowers, I'm not a Zay Flowers guy. He hasn't made the lead either. They gave Bateman this extension. It kind of feels like a forced investment, not really earned. Hopkins kind of in the tier with Devontae Adams and Diggs, these elite wide receivers on their second or third, fourth teams, going to regress a little bit because Father Time's undefeated. Is this going to be the year we finally see Walker from UNC kind of come in and be that X wide receiver that Lamar hasn't had since Hollywood Brown was there?
Yeah, it seemingly is the same question over and over.
Maybe we're going to see it. Likely got banged up. Andrews is turning 30. The tight end is always going to be a focal point of the offense, middle of the field. Offensive line, they drafted Emory from LSU. They actually are getting better, and they just have so much depth. To me, it's a 300 monster in the AFC, Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs.
It hasn't changed.
I kind of feel like you got to have one of them in your futures portfolio.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. All 3 of those teams, I think, futures are so funny, and it depends, obviously, how much you bet. A lot of guys, they want to just kind of corner a market, and it does feel like the AFC, I don't think there's a dark horse team in the AFC. Maybe, but like we talked about with the Bengals, they didn't get better. The Bengals didn't get better. I want to believe in Cincinnati, but the defense didn't get better, and the defense is the problem. So I can't get too excited about them. But yes, AFC North, you talked about it. You're very, very high on the Steelers not the Steelers, the Ravens continuing dominance as well as I am. Let's talk AFC South, traditionally not as exciting division. Let's start with the Titans, who had the number 1 pick. They take Cam Ward. This team 3-14 last season. They do go get Dan Moore, like you talked about. They also get veteran Kevin Zeitler, who I do like that as a pickup. I have a bet with the Titans. It is under 5.5 wins. It is plus 125. And I knew this was going to be bet off of a question that was asked in a presser. I don't know if you saw the clip. Do you believe, they asked, I believe it was the general manager and the team president, do you believe this roster as constructed can win a Super Bowl tomorrow? And the dude literally just was more or less like, come on. Is that a real question? And it's like, yeah, this team's not trying to win. They're not trying to win. They have, again, they go get Zeitler, who's older. Xavier Woods is older. Cam Ward doesn't have great weapons. You have Tyler Boyd's gone, which that's fine. That wasn't really going to work out. Westbrook-Akine never worked out there either. Tennessee just seems like a complete joke. Did you see Treylon Burks got released?
Already released, yep.
Already released. So, I mean, the A.J. Brown trade turns to even a bigger dumpster fire, and now the coach that was part of that is now coaching in New England, who I think is going to have some favorable things happen to him this year. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Anything on the Titans positive or negative, I guess?
I mean, I guess you kind of look at it. They got Callahan, who we can make an argument is the best offensive line coach in the game. And we look at Tony Pollard. He averaged 4.72 yards per rush attempt on power gap runs. But when they ran zone, it was 3.28. Are they going to go to more power gap type blocking scheme? That's something that's really kind of interesting to me. You mentioned they brought in the guys in the offensive line to make stuff better for Cam Ward. I'm not the biggest Cam Ward guy in the world. In turn, Aquano, the tight end, absolutely love him. I think he's going to be second in receptions, second in yards behind Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is the only game in town here. And the defensive line, I'll tell you what, I like the defensive line too. They got some girth. They got some size up front. They have, well, am I wrong? You know what I mean? Am I wrong?
Yes, that girthy D line. Yes.
But no, Simmons, Sebastian, Joseph Day, and Sweat. Hold on.
It's a good group.
1,000 pounds. That's over 1,000 pounds a man right there.
That's a lot of guy. It's a lot of guy.
They're going to be tough to run against.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line is great. It's just you hit the nail on the head. They lack the skill players. To me, This is a team next year. Yeah, next year. I think next year is a year we kind of get involved. They're doing it the right way. They're building from the inside out. But we need to ask, is younger Callahan the right guy to be managing the ship as the head coach?
Sure.
Is Ward the guy that's going to take them up a level? Personally, like I said, I'm not the biggest Cam Ward guy. With the quarterback class that's coming in next year, I probably would have took Carter with the top pick. Put Carter on that defensive line with Simmons, Joseph Day, and Sweat. You got something. And then with how good next year's quarterback class is, then you look to take a quarterback. To me, I'm all in on Pollard in terms of DFS and select weeks and probably in season-long fantasy. I'll look to bet Ridley over anytime they play the Colts. But in terms of like betting futures, this is just another team I just don't have a read on and just not going to do anything with them.
Well, what's the point of it? I mean, a team like this, I think the one you could talk me into and the one you talked about, and Callahan's a big reason of it, is Pollard. I think you could talk me into Pollard, but it is one of those things that why not just bet him on a week-by-week basis? Why take the risk of him going down? He's another guy. He's been relatively healthy in his career. I think he's had some small bang-ups, but yeah, I kind of feel the same way about the Titans. I'm not touching anything Cam Ward related. Just don't need that in my life. Let's talk Jags. For those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I am one to constantly be jagging off. I feel really good about the Jags this year, man. 7.5 win total. If you want to bet it, it is a little juicy. I think it's $1.25 if you want to take the over. This team last year, 4-13, underperformed for sure. We talked about kind of how their offseason went and how we do like how Liam Cohen is setting things up. I do have a future with this team. I've got Trevor Lawrence over 3,700.5 passing yards. I think that it is a big opportunity for him in this Liam Cohen-led offense. We saw what he could do with some solid weapons in Tampa Bay. I think that is easily transferable over to Jacksonville. I think, obviously, people are very hit or miss on the Travis Hunter thing. I think Vegas has his offensive receiving line at like 700-something yards. There's good information that he's mostly going to be playing offense and playing the very, very minimal defense. But I like the Jags this season. I like what they did with the draft. I like the fact that the things that I've heard as far as like I think it's part of my take. Part of my take had Trevor Lawrence on, and Lawrence was just kind of talking about the comfortability with things. Just it doesn't seem like people are uptight. And then they made a joke about having Urban Meyer as your coach and how things have changed. I mean, Trevor Lawrence coming into the league was already hated by a lot of people just because he was the second coming. The dude's had a kind of a rough go, and it's not fully his fault.
Yeah.
it just feels like we're ready to snap on a Trevor Lawrence season to where he's in that MVP talk. The Jags are in contention once again. Yeah, I like the Jags. I don't hate 7.5 win total. I try to stay away from prices like that, but I do love Trevor Lawrence over 3,700.5 yards.
I think with that price, I think the play is to play him just to win the division.
Oh, sure.
I think that's the play right there. A couple things to monitor. Brian Thomas Jr. last year, 14th in ADOT, 4th in deep targets. But when we look at what they did, what Cohn did last year with Baker was 25th in pass depth target.
Sure.
So I don't really feel Brian Thomas's strength as a wide receiver is the underneath stuff. So, I mean, his under is a little enticing to me because I don't think it's going to be what people think. And my suggestion is you want to stay away from him in your season-long fantasy football rates. Also, last year, Tampa Bay targeted in the Cohn offense, their running backs 21.2%.
Big props with the backs in Tampa.
Of the time. Now, they're switching from more of a power gap scheme to more of a wide zone. And that favors Travis Etienne and the rookie Tutin that they drafted. I think in your drafts for fantasy football, if you do one of those best balls, Tutin's a must because he could involve in the Bucky Irvin later in the season. And he's someone you kind of just have to keep your eye on. He's not going to get it the run right away, but someone to kind of keep an eye on. I think Travis Hunter. What are your thoughts on him? Because I heard this thing on Twitter that Travis Kelce said what teams are just going to do is whoever he's matched up on, they're just going to run go routes with him.
Yeah, just get him tired. It's not a horrible idea, but at the same time, is he really that big of a receiver threat where you're just going to be taking one of your guys out of the play to get him tired? Also, in that Lawrence interview, he talked about it. He is the only receiver he's ever worked with that will go run a 7 route, that'll go run a 9 route, and then sprint back and run it again and not need a break. He said he's got the best conditioning he's ever seen. Now, obviously, football conditioning and just running routes are two different things. But the guy's done it. He's a freak. What do you want me to say?
And when you mention their defense, when you look at it, where is the stat I had? I'm so sorry. 3rd fewest pressures, 5th fewest sacks last year. Mm-hmm. With the draft equity at the top of the draft that they have used, there is absolutely zero excuse for it to be that putrid. And then Hunter just needs to sure up the back end. When you look at this team, it just comes down. They gave up a lot to get Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter falls in his face, it is going to be.
It's going to be ugly.
Absolutely ugly.
He's a guy that's very, very online.
I'm not the biggest. I'm sorry.
He's a guy that's very, very online, so that would be really bad for him.
Travis Campbell, I wasn't a fan of the $76.5 million contract either, but. Yeah, and another thing with these guys that come in, they're these great offensive minds. There's a laundry list of them that have failed.
Oh, yeah.
In the room. But for whatever reason, it seems to be if you come from the McVay tree, you're able to manage the room. LaFleur has done it. O'Connell's done it. Cohn was with him. Cohn went from Kentucky to Los Angeles, then down to Tampa. How is that going to look? So, just kind of something to monitor. Like I like this team to win the division. I didn't bet it yet. I think they're going to be the lone playoff representative from this division. Oh no, sorry. I think the Texans make it too. My bad.
Right on. Let's talk Colts and let's talk about them briefly because I think the Colts are a dumpster fire. We have the Anthony Richardson experience project, whatever you want to call it. They go 8-9 last year. I mean, all I can think about is him coming off the field because he was tired. I think we talked about it on your show. I think
Yeah,
I was on your show that Tuesday after, and I just couldn't fucking wrap my head around it.
it was
It just,
embarrassing. It
I
was
had never seen it before.
absolutely and utterly embarrassing that someone would tap themselves out. We don't know what's going on with his injury. You brought in Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones might actually be a decent fit in the offense. If
Sure.
he is, I think that's going to be huge for Tyler Warren. Now, how are they going to use Tyler Warren? We would need to remember at Penn State, he lined up in the backfield. He lined up in the Wildcat formation. And Shane Steichen is a smart guy. I think we're going to see Tyler Warren used in some interesting features.
He's a gadget guy, for sure.
Jonathan Taylor, look, I'm a bitter old man. I am still bitter when I had the Colts at the Broncos and Taylor dropped the ball while running in for a touchdown. I am still bitter about that. How is he going to look? They did lose some members to the offensive line. How is that offensive line going to adjust? Defense. I remember when DeForest Buckner came there, I was all high on them. But they had Gus Bradley as their DC. Now they don't have Gus Bradley now. How is it going to look with Lou Amarillo, who I actually kind of like? What is his defense going to look? Is he going to be able to get what he got out of Cincinnati in terms of the DBs? Because last year you could throw all over this team. When you look at what they have, Glover Stewart, DeForest Buckner up front, it's interesting. It really is interesting. But I can't get there, man.
No, I agree. The Colts, to me, are just very, very sad at this point. It's a team that they kind of hit the reset. They never fully had a chance to reset, and they've been sitting kind of in limbo. Let's talk about the Texans. The Texans, we talked about it a little bit. Kind of a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud, not the most impressive season, but they were busy this offseason, Eric. They go get Nick Chubb, they go get Christian Kirk, Justin Watson, Cam Robinson, Trent Brown, Laken Tomlinson. I mean, there's a whole Sheldon Rankin. I mean, I can keep going. There were a lot of pickups. CJ Gardner-Johnson. And then you go Jaden Higgins in the draft. Go wide receiver. So this is a team that is going to look significantly different from a year ago. You no longer have Stephon Diggs, which might, again, be a net positive, a la Minka Fitzpatrick. So it's interesting. Houston right now, I was looking up their win total, went away on me. I believe it's 9.5.
Houston's
Oh, no, it's pulled. They pulled it. Interesting.
Joe Mixon has some stuff going on, too.
Oh, 100%.
So Joe Mixon, obviously, Nick Chubb bringing in, we'll probably
that wasn't on accident.
A little bit more Nick Chubb than we think. The thing about the Texans is, what is going to go on with CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud looked great his first year. Freaking phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Second year, struggled as all hell. What is going to go on? They obviously got rid of Slow Rig, bringing in a new offensive coordinator. How is he going to look in this offense? That's number one. Number two, this defense is electric. This defense single-handedly almost went into KC and shocked the living world. Obviously, in terms of the offense, it's just night and day when you look at the splits. Nico Collins versus no Nico Collins. Caley is more of a matchup base. He comes from the Belichick tree where he sees the matchup, and that's just going to be the matchup he looks to pick on. Stroud was only 18th in deep attempts last year. And for someone that is a ball thrower like he is, that shocks me. You mentioned Laramie Tonsil. He wasn't that good last year when we looked into it. Now they bring in Cam Robinson to replace him. You got Mixon, Chubb, and Pierce, a nice 300 monster in the backfield. Obviously, this Mixon injury, which we still are waiting to get a little clarification on. How long is that going to be? What are we going to expect from Chubb, who sadly just hasn't been the same since the knee injury? Defensively, DeMarco Ryan is just a guru. And what he's able to do with these guys with the limited DBs that they do have. They brought in Gardner Johnson to go along with Derek Stingley in the back four. Absolutely love it. You got Will Anderson up front. This is going to be one of the better defenses in the league. And I just have a little bit concerns with the offense. That's my hiccup with them. So I have them finishing second in the offense, but I do have them making the wild card.
Nice. Yeah, the Texans, I have a buddy a really good friend of mine that is a Texans fan that is not a CJ Stroud fan. So last season confirmed a lot of his fears. So it'll be interesting. I've watched this roller coaster. And he even said during the first season when he was incredible, he's like, he's not as good as people think he is. And last year he had all the vindication in the world that he was right. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to get out of the Texans. I don't have any sort of bets with them. It's probably a team that I'm going to slow play the first few weeks and kind of see how these new pieces get integrated. So let's move on to the AFC West. Make sure we're reposting the stream, guys. We have 19,297 people right now. It'd be really cool to get to 20K. Haven't had 1,000, much less 20. Moving on to the AFC West, the Raiders. I can't believe I'm saying this. I have 2 bets for the Raiders this year. I've got Ashton Genty over 1,050.5 rushing yards, and I got Brock Bowers over 1,000.5 receiving yards. I think Pete Carroll is very literal. I think he's going to pump those guys. Those are his kind of guys. He had Jimmy Graham back in the day. You can't tell me that he doesn't look at Brock Bowers like, you're a better Jimmy Graham. And he doesn't look at Ashton Genty and say, well, that's a better Marshawn. I mean, this is exactly how Pete Carroll, and then he goes and gets Geno Smith, which even makes it funnier. So this is his guys. I like what they're doing. I don't love the personnel that they have, but I loved the hire. I thought the hire made all the sense in the world. What do you think about the Raiders as we get towards the season here?
All right, so let's look at the Raiders here. You brought in Pete Carroll, 74 years old. Is he going to be old? You know what I mean? Is he too old? That's kind of
he's a young 74. That gum smacks like he's 54.
Graham stays as DC. No idea how he still has a job. They're one of the big league's most underachieving team, plus 1.95 in Pythagorean win total. That's a strong sign that positive regression is on it. Close out the season versus the Chiefs. Potentially could be resting players. It's kind of a sneaky spot to maybe get to their over in win total. When you mentioned Geno Smith, 70% completion, 20 TDs, 15 INTs. That is an insanely weird line. Doesn't take deep shots, but he has a trend of his career, and it's ignoring the tight end position. He is bottom 3 when you look at the starting quarterbacks.
I don't fucking like to hear that, dude. Come on.
And
you're going to yuck my yum like that? That's crazy.
And we're going head to head. We may have to have a T-shirt bet on this because I bet Brock Bowers under 1,000.5 yards.
We need a mayor's bet of some kind for that one.
Just because I look at it like this: Geno doesn't throw to the tight end. Carroll's Chip Kelly's system really doesn't feature the position either. Last year, the Raiders were 4th in pass attempts, but I expect them to be a more run-heavy set this year. I think Gentry's going to get easily over 300 touches, and I think that's going to cut into Bowers' opportunity.
Sure.
So for me,
you don't think Bowers is a natural Y in a Chip Kelly set? Really? Okay.
I think they're going to cut into it. I took the under.
I love that so much.
Defense, you got Matt Crosby. They just got rid of Wilkins because I guess he kissed someone on the forehead and someone didn't like it.
Dude, I heard it was weirder than that.
I have no idea.
This guy loves sticking fingers in the caboose at the bottom of the piles.
Are they going to be able to get pressure even when Crosby's playing? Geno, I think, is going to stabilize things, but I think the talent is thin. I think Gentry is going to be a top 5 back. But the thing that we need to monitor is this. Kelly likes to play fast. Okay? He likes to play fast. This defense is going to be weak. I think these unders are going to be a little mispriced to start the season. So I'd probably look to take a little bit of overs to start the season. If they're in the mid 40 range, like 45, like the 45 and under, 45 and a half and under range.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things. So they're another team on a week by week basis. Could be a really, really fun bet. I do like the idea that overs might be hot in the beginning of the season, but they're gonna run a lot of plays. That's Chip Kelly's MO. They're gonna run a lot of plays.
42.5 is the over under for week 1 against the Patriots.
Yeah, I like that.
So I mean,
I like that.
That'd be something I'd look to bet the over, just because their defense is brutal, and they're going to be looking to play fast.
Right. No, I agree with you there. Let's talk Broncos. Denver last season, a big surprise. They win 10 games. Their total this year is 9.5. Does Denver have a chance to push here in the AFC West? I kind of went through I did a game by game pick 'em throughout the season, and I had Denver kind of hanging right in there with the Chiefs and with the Chargers. What do you think about, they pick up J.K. Dobbins, Evan Ingram? What do you think?
Take out the game week 18 against the Chiefs. Okay, 1-8 versus teams with a winning record last year. And in those games, they just averaged 16 points per game. Did they take advantage of a weaker schedule? This year, they have 7 road games, 1 neutral site game in London. All their home games are actually decent. And look, I know people like Bo Nix, but if you put his numbers against Mac Jones's numbers, they're basically identical for their rookie years. So that's something to remember. They are due for some positive regression in one-score games. They were 1-6 in one-score games. Offensive line, 3rd fewest sacks, top 12 run blocking. Freaking phenomenal last year. And that kind of brings me to the one bet that I have. I took RJ Harvey at 20-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Peyton loves him. Historically uses his RB1 like crazy. Now, this is all the production for Peyton's backs, not just the lead production. In a Peyton system, running backs are going to get about 358 carries and 1,500 yards. If I think Harvey's going to get most of that work, he's going to be in line for a huge season. Was drafted in the 2nd round. Peyton's not going to use a pick like that unless he plans to use them. When we look at who else is there, Estimate had every shot in the world to take it, and he lost it last year. Dobbins has 2 bad knees. I think Harvey is going to be the guy. Obviously, the only hurdle is if he can pick up pass pro, because that's going to be the big thing. That's the big thing all these rookie backs have problems with, picking up pass pro. He's able to do that. He's going to be on the field more. I absolutely love this 20-1. At the end of the day, I'm just not a Bo Nix guy. He's 25 years old. I think this is kind of the ceiling is what he is. His offensive line is great. This defense, I'm not a big Van Joseph's guy. I hate his Y9 system. I think you can run on him. But this defense is absolutely insane. Did you see the video of the kid they drafted, the DB they drafted, who
oh, yes,
like climbing a wall? Like, what the hell is that? I mean, pairing him with Sutan is just absolutely insane. But I'm not.
I agree.
I'm not like
you've talked me out of it. I'm happy. I have no action because I was kind of high on him, and this is kind of why I wait on some of these, because sometimes you got to hear a second opinion that you respect. So guys are up and down on the Broncos. It's going to be an interesting season.
I love RJ Harvey though. RJ Harvey.
I do too. RJ Harvey, ex-quarterback, super duper smart running back. But yes, the problem is pass pro, because he just hasn't played the position for that many years, and he played for UCF, which was a Gus Malzahn-led offense that was weird as weird can be. Super weird lineup, but it'll be interesting to see how he does. Let's talk Los Angeles Superchargers. The Chargers are an interesting team to me. They did make the playoffs last season. We talked about it earlier. The Chargers, then left the playoffs. 4 interceptions from Justin Herbert. Very, very unfortunate. I do have a bet for the Chargers, actually. I am very, very high, and I'll be interested to see what you think on Ladd McConkey.
Oh my God, we're going head to head again.
Let's go!
What did you do with Ladd?
Receiving yards.
Over or under?
Over.
I did his under.
Perfect. This is perfect.
So why do you like his over, my friend?
Because I think he, at the end of the season, obviously, that his scope got Justin Herbert's scope got very, very tight. Now, for better or for worse, obviously, it leads to 4 interceptions. I think he is the new iteration. This is him and Herbert are the new iteration of Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. I think this is, and yes, it's because he's white. Get over it. He fits a lot of the bill to be the possession guy. He gets open. He's not going to be super duper explosive. And he got really, really good target share towards the end of the season. And I'm just not a fan of the rest of their receiver room. I can't wait for you to try to talk me out of this one. But go right ahead.
So this is my 2 cents on Mr. McConkley. When we look at the first half of the season, 3.75 catches, 55 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, 5.8 catches, 83.2 yards per game. But when we look at the defenses we played, a lot softer defenses that back half of the schedule. He's small. He left.
Are those defenses not in his division though?
I'll be
I was
honest.
gonna say you play in a really outside of. Yeah, I guess the Broncos. Never mind. You go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm being defensive, Eric.
Small. He left 3 games early. Now he's going to draw more defensive attention. Plus, the Roman likes to play slow. They were 28th in pass attempts. Now you bring in Hampton, who I think is going to be the featured back. They're going to lean on him more.
I like him a lot.
So I played the under 1,025.5 yards.
Oh, dude, could we middle this?
What'd you get?
Oh, no, we can't. We can't. We could both lose. That'd be fucking hilarious.
I
got 1,000. I got 1,050.5. Could you imagine if he ends up at like 1,040?
1,031.
Yeah, both lose. So awesome.
Another
the guys are
one though is we need to remember the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They lost. Where was it? They lost people on each level of the defensive side of the ball. Like, how is that going to affect what Minter was able to do defensively? They lost 3 key pieces. When you look at their offensive line, I mean, dude, getting Becton, that's going to make them even better. Alt, Slater, Johnson, Becklin, Bozeman. I mean, look, phenomenal.
They have a really, really good offensive line.
Roman, 11th in points, but only 20th in yards, 11th in rush attempts, but only 24th in yards per carry. I think this is going to get back to what we saw in his days when he was with the Ravens, running the ball. And I think
he's got the personnel to do it.
I think that's another reason why we're going to see McConkley take a step backwards. And Minter, I mean, I think in terms of people to watch for that could take a head coaching job next year, I think Jesse Minter's right there. This defense keeps on doing what they're doing.
I like that. I'm going to keep it brief with the Chiefs, try to pick up the pace a little bit as I do have a newborn upstairs and my wife is not super happy, but as I showed her the view count, she's like, what in the fuck? So we're moving on to the Chiefs. I personally don't think the Chiefs have a chance to go that deep in the playoffs this year. I'm not super high on them. What do you think of the Chiefs?
All right, dude, hear me out here.
You go.
15 wins. Their Pythagorean win total was only 9.86. It's a 5.14 over.
I saw that on when you said that earlier. I'm like, I've heard that term, and it's because of the Chiefs.
Biggest margin in the league, historically speaking. Teams that outperform their Pythagorean win total by 2 wins or more hit their over only 32% of the time the following year. Super Bowl losers, 33% to the over the next season. 11-1 in one possession games. Extremely lucky. I think they're due for some regression. Obviously, they brought in Simmons, the rookie. He's going to have to be a tackle. What is he going to do coming off an ACL injury? They lost Tooney. They only had 29 plays of 25 yards or plus. Mahomes 30th in deep ball pass attempts. Last year was the worst running back room that Andy Reid has ever had. We really don't know what's going on in the wide receiver room with Rashid Rice. I think defensive regression is coming. Jones earlier. I don't trust McDuffie as a number one corner. Safeties are young and unproven. Bottom line, they've played over 100 games the last 5 years. Fatigue is real. I bet the Chiefs, are you ready for this? Plus 310 not to make the playoffs and under 11.5 wins.
That's spicy. Wait, so you bet both of those separately?
Both of those separate. I split the bet in half.
Interesting. Like I said, I'm not super high on them. I did the game by game, and the Chiefs, they were way too close to I graded them way too close to the Broncos and to the Chargers to think that they're worth any sort of money when it comes to futures. And honestly, personnel-wise, no one gets me super excited as far as the Chiefs go. So let's talk AFC East. Let's talk New England Patriots. 4-13. I think both of us are high on the Patriots this year. Am I kind of picking that up? Or
I have a different team that I'm high on.
Okay, well, we'll save that. I'll go through the Pats quick. Pats in the offseason pick up Stephon Diggs. I loved that because it is a complete not Patriot way guy, and then he gets caught on a boat with Coke in Miami during OTAs, and Mike Vrabel has to answer to that. Love that as a pickup, but we talked about it. Will Campbell was one of the best picks in the draft. They then go get Henderson, which I think, again, great one. Kyle Williams at receiver. I love those first three picks. You mentioned the Patriots were one of your favorite drafts earlier in the program. Patriots this season, though, are they going to win more than 4 games? Yes. Does Vrabes take them from a 4-win team to a 10-win team? No, I think we end up somewhere in the middle here. This is, to me, a 6-7. And if they win 8 games, I think as a Patriot fan, you're very excited as long as Drake May is progressing. The last thing you want to do is get Drake May regression at this point because you want to feel comfortable with him moving forward as your quarterback.
My thing with them is I feel there's one team every year that everyone's insanely high on that underachieves, and I feel that this year it's them. I have some serious questions about, is the hype real? Because they're going to be favored in a ton of games. I mean, hell, they're already favored 3 at home against the Raiders. And they had a ton of questions. We don't really know what the offense is going to look like with Josh McDaniels, who's not the easiest guy in the world to work with. So, look, for me, I am not doing anything with them. I'm just kind of sitting back. I'll take Vrabel when he's a dog, but other than that, I want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, and I mean, do you have any? And I'll bow out on the AFC East. I don't have a lot to say about any of these teams, but if you got something,
I got a bet, and I like, dude. I understand, dude. I understand you got a kid, so I'll try to.
No, it's all good. Honestly, it's good.
I'll try to wheel through it. I have to find it. It's all the way at the end.
Oh, good. I want to hear the bets.
The 2 bets are this. Sorry, I got 3 bets. The first one. The first one is I did the Jets over 5.5. I found this at -115. I absolutely love what Aaron Glenn's going to bring in with his toughness and accountability. Tanner Engstrand, the ex-passing game coordinator from the Lions, is going to be the OC. He likes to run shotgun heavy, motion focused RPO. That is Justin Fields in a nutshell. Offensive line, sneaky good, going to take a step forward. I think Fields is an upgrade over what we saw last year at the quarterback position from the Jets, as crazy as it sounds. He's averaged 57 yards per game over his career. And he's going to be in an RPO system where it's going to be all shotgun. Jets were dead last year in run attempts. With this offensive line, we're going to see a top 5 rush rate. Outside zones last year, Breece Hall, 5.4 yards per carry. I think what we're going to see with them is everyone's talking about the Bears run game, I think we're going to see Breece Hall be Gibbs, Braylon Allen be Montgomery. I think that's literally what we're going to see with the Jets. The defense, you bring in Steve Wilkes, who took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. You still have Sauce Gardner, Quincy Williams. I think under Glenn's and Wilkins, they're going to hold everyone more accountable, and that's what was missing under Salah's tenure. They have the seventh easiest schedule. I think that they like them, and they have these 3 winnable games in December that I think is going to push them over there. So I like that. I did over 5.5. Now the next one, hear me out. I have a saying called shoot or shoot. I did a full.
Yeah, that's your saying, huh?
I did. I got it from Clay. So I did 3/4 of a unit on Garrett Wilson over 925.5 yards receiving.
I like that.
Quarter unit at 50-1 for him to have the most receiving yards in the league.
So we do have another bet against each other. Granted, both of our bets are long shots, but
so a strength scheme designed to get the wide receiver the ball. He's going to be used like St. Brown was in Detroit. Lazard, the clear number 2, that is a major drop off. Fields and Wilson have existing chemistry. When Fields was at Ohio State, Wilson had over 70 receptions, over 1,000 yards. 2022, 83 and 111. 2023, 95 and 111. 2024, 101 and 111. So he's constantly getting 1,100 yards, and his receptions totals keep on going up every year. Now there's no Devontae Adams there now. I think he's going to be the focal point. I love him here, man.
no, I don't hate that. It's the Jets are an interesting one. Now, what if Russ ends up at quarterback?
No, Russ is with the Giants, though.
Or sorry, Giants. Duh, I'm thinking Jets. Yeah, Jets are. So their quarterback room right now is Fields and whom?
Let me take a gander real quick.
Because I can't even think of the Jets quarterback.
The MILF Hunter's down in Miami right now. Tyrod Taylor and Adrian Martinez.
I kind of love that quarterback room, honestly.
So,
like, no matter, you literally have Tyrod Taylor and younger and more athletic Tyrod Taylor. So, no, I like that. So, yeah, Bills. I didn't have anything on the Bills. I think the Bills win the AFC East. I don't know if this is it's hard to bet Bills to win the Super Bowl, man. This team's deadly cursed.
Yeah, I would not do that at all.
No, they're set up. So let's talk NFC here. We will buzz through first the NFC East, a team that I am not excited to watch at all because a guy that I just mentioned, Russell Wilson, is the Giants.
I have 2 bets here. Okay. Mm-hmm. No, actually, you want to go through? I have 3 bets on one team and 1 bet on another team. You want to just
give me the one bet first. Give me the one bet first.
1 bet on one team. I took at, I think it was at plus 110. And for me, I feel you just have to do it. And of course, I can't find my goddamn notes on it. The Commanders under 9.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you look at what they're able to do in 4th down alone, you kind of have to do it. After a top 5 finish, one of the greatest rookie quarterback seasons ever, an NFC championship run, Jaden Daniels really impressive last season. He ranked 3rd in the NFL. Time to throw, an average hold time of just 2.36 seconds. A quick release helped keep him safe, given his frail frames. Speaking of which, he suffered that upper body injury because he took so many hits, and we saw him not run the ball much more to end the season. Are we going to see that? Obviously, Scary McCary is demanding a trade. People tend to forget the Jaden Daniels that existed when he didn't have Brandon Ayuk and Malik Neighbors. They forget about one. If you take Scary Carey out of the equation, what is this offense going to look like? Plus, now the defensive have more film on this offense. I think they're due for some regression. Defensively, they missed only 80 tackles last season, which is an insanely low number. I think that's due for some regression. They went from allowing the most passing yards in 2023 to the third fewest in 2024 with the same personnel. Is that an upgrade or a fluke? You know what I mean? Like there's things for regression. 8-3 in one possession games last year, 20 for 23 on fourth down attempts. This is just all regression stuff. You know what I mean? This is a team that's due for some regression. So like, I bet the regression. I took the under 9.5 and I got it at plus 110.
Nice. I'm curious. I hope is your 3-bet team the Eagles?
My 3-bet team is not the Eagles, dude.
Okay, good. I have the Birds to repeat plus 600, half unit on it. I just think the Birds are going to repeat. Who was your 3? It's got to be the Cowboys then.
I took the Dallas Cowboys plus 190 to make the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys plus 680 to win the East. As I mentioned, I absolutely love what they did in the draft. Schottenheimer, who was the offensive coordinator, is coming in. I think he's going to shake things up. He didn't really like all the complex formations they ran. He's just going to look to simplify the offense. He's going to do a lot more 3-4 wide receiver sets to spread out the defense to create matchup advantages. Now you put in that they have Pickens, absolutely huge. More of these routes featuring the running back and tight ends are going to be underneath with some drags. Absolutely huge. But the big thing is on the coaching staff, they added Adams from Arizona to help with the run game, and the Cardinals were 7th in rushing yards and 2nd in yards per attempt. I really think that's a solid addition, and they brought in Blue from Texas. I think this running game is going to go back to what we've seen before. They went from 14th to 27th last year in rushing. Factor that in with Dak Brown injury. Just too much to overcome. Offensive line upgrades, adjustment in the blocking scheme is absolutely huge. Now, I always love to back a coach that's been humbled. Dan Eberflus is going to come in and he's going to make this defense stronger. He was a good DC in Indianapolis. Even with the limited talent they had in Chicago, the defense was still good. The key question is, can the Cowboys stop the run? I think with Eberflus, he historically uses more twists and stunts. That is going to be huge. Again, Travion Diggs back from a knee injury. I'm down a little bit on the Eagles this year, just be fact they did win it. There hasn't been a back-to-back winner in this division since 2024. I'm down on the Commanders. I like the Cowboys here to make the playoffs and to win the East at plus 680. Now, my next question. In 2023, who finished second in the MVP voting?
In 2023?
Yep.
That would be Jalen Hurts, no?
Dakota Prescott, 40-1 MVP. Schottenheimer, new.
Take my earbuds out. Fuck this.
He's got calling the plays. Reputation for being pass first, pass deep. That's what they're going to want to do. Third and deep pass in 2023. Limited time, 9th last year. Brought in Pickens.
I do love the fact that you bring in Pickens to get a true number 2.
And you bring in Ferguson. Passing game is going to shift more to get the ball out of his hands with crosses and curls, get the ball in CD and Pickens' hands quick. He wants to throw the ball a lot. And look, runner-up in 2023, if the Cowboys win the division, that's a big market team.
Oh, he'll be a top 3 in the MVP if they win the division.
He's going to be in line. If they win the division, he's going to be in line. I absolutely love the Cowboys. I am literally all in on the Dallas Cowboys this year, and I hate my life for saying that.
Well, it's hard for me to do that. I was at a wedding last weekend that was the other half of them was from Texas, and they were all Cowboys fans. So they aren't as high as you are on their hopes this season, but they've kind of gotten their asses kicked over the last few years. So I can understand the lack of optimism. NFC West, let's talk about it a little bit. I only have one bet in the division. I consider the 49ers over 10.5 wins. They feel like a team that could get back to where they were. it wasn't enough to move me to get there. What are your thoughts on the Niners? I'm interested to hear what you think.
I pulled the trigger. I got 2 bets here. First one is, I mentioned I love their draft pick. Oh, sorry, you asked about the 49ers. I got the 49ers here. I took them at 22-1-2 to win it all. You look, Shanahan, he has made the NFC Championship game 4-5 when the team is healthy. Robert Saleh returns. I think he's going to do massive things for the defense. When we look back last year, CMC only played 4 games. Ayuk missed 10, Williams 7. Purdy, Debo, Kittle, all banged up. Even so, San Francisco is top 10 DVOA offensively. Brock Purdy got paid. He was 10th in passing yards. You're only 26 in deep ball rate, meaning this is a heavy yards after the catch offense. With that being said, Pearsall to the moon in your fantasy football drafts, especially with losing Debo and Brandon Ayuk coming back from an injury. Pearsall is going to be Debo 2.0. Outside zone blocking seems, granted, look, I know CMC is a health risk, but you have Guerrero, who's shown he can carry the load.
Gerwendo, ex-Badger, transferred out of Wisconsin, and that is
and the defense regressed heavily in 2024, not to do to injuries. I think it was just coaching. I think Saleh coming back, I think it's going to be huge. Bosa's back. They added some pieces in the draft. To me, this is just that team that finished last place that is going to take that huge step forward. So look, give me the 49ers here. I got them 20-1 to win it all. And
I might have to bet them over 10.5 wins now after listening to that spiel.
The next one is the Arizona Cardinals plus 140 to make the playoffs.
Ooh,
look,
interesting.
I mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. earlier. Only targeting 47% of the throws, 3rd lowest in the league. He's the key. If he takes that next step to be the X wide receiver, this offense is going to take a huge leap. Trey McBride, 2nd in PPR, tight ends, only 2 touchdowns, one of them rushing. He's due for some positive regression. Obviously, they love to run the ball. James O'Connor, absolutely huge last year. And I just love what they did with their defense. With everything they've brought in with the 3-4 front, they got William, Campbell, Tomlinson, Nolan, bring Johnson in the back 4. Gannon has shown he's been an excellent defensive coach. He does the hits thing, the hustle, intensity, takeaway, smarts, empower the Eagles defense. And I think we're going to see this defense take another step forward. Obviously, they need to be able to stop the run when you have Walker, Williams, CMC. They committed 90% of their salary cap and 6 of their first 6-round draft picks to fixing the defense. I think it takes a step forward. I'm seeing plus 140. I absolutely love it. And I'm sorry, dude. I got one more bet, dude. I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
75-1. You ready for this one? Kenneth Walker to lead the league in rushing. Rick Dennison is on board as an offensive assistant. This guy basically invented the offensive scheme. Legend in the game, helped Kamara almost get to over 1,000 yards rushing. Now, I'm a wee bit older than you. There was a time when he was the offensive line coach offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. And guess who was in line to win the rushing title before he got hit?
Before he got hurt for the Jets?
For the Jets.
Well, I'm going to assume this was during their mid-2000s runs toward the AFC Championship with Sanchez as quarterback? Or are we going further back?
A little further back.
It wasn't Martin, was it? No, Martin probably did lead the league.
He did. Isaiah Crowell.
Oh, God. I didn't have to go that further back.
He almost won a rushing title with the Jets because of fucking Rick Dennison.
Okay.
They hired John Benton as their offensive line coach, first in Seattle, has over 10 years experience, various stops. He's familiar with Kubiak, Shanahan tree, because we need to remember Clint Kubiak, who's the offensive coordinator, his dad won the title with the Broncos, was a Texans coach, was the Vikings OC. Him and Dennison kind of put together this whole zone running thing. And then it kind of morphed off when Dennison worked with Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan brought it down to his son, Kyle. Rick Dennison is kind of like the OG with all.
He's the godfather.
Offensive line, they used that first-round pick on Zabel to start at left guard, Cross and Lucas on the outside. I like it. And the thing with the zone running scheme is it can hide efficiencies that other people have. And when we just look at these names that have produced in the Rick Dennison system, Mike Anderson, Justin Forsett, Steve Slayton, Adrian Foster, Ronnie Hildman, and now I'm getting Kenneth Walker to come out of the blue at 75-1. It just
names.
But you know what I mean? To throw a Domino's pizza, you know what I mean? Throw $25,
sure,
75-1. And when you look at it, I know everyone's going to say, what about Carbonate? Carbonate averaged a whole 1.5 yards less on zone runs last year than Kenneth Walker did. And he was top 10 in yards after contact, number 1 in missed tackles forced. Give me Ken Walker, 75-1.
I love that. My long shot in the division, I've got Puka, most receiving yards in the league, at plus 1,000. I got a quarter of a unit on that. Let's talk NFC South real quick. Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Bucks. Thought about doing Mike Evans over 950.5 receiving yards. He's had 1,000 every year of his career, but it's got to stop at some point. I think I'd be doing a little too much on that one. Any bets in the NFC South? I mean, for me, I look at the Saints. Nothing's moving my needle down in New Orleans. The Panthers, obviously, Bryce Young bounced back towards the end of the season. Otherwise, they'd be pulling their hair out. The Falcons are in this weird limbo right now. But what are your thoughts?
I got 2 bets for the Saints. One of them,
nice.
I don't know. The line's moved. It's cut in half. I know everyone thinks, oh, it's going to be Archie Manning. Archie Manning, the Saints. You know, his dad played there.
Yeah, you got a tank, right?
He could go back to Texas. He may not be that good.
He should.
And I really think I was the only one that realized Garrett Nessmeyer's old man was the offensive coordinator.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I took him at plus 800 to be the top pick in the NFL draft next year.
Ooh, I don't hate that at all.
So just kind, you know what I mean? Just kind of because, hey, if Archie goes back,
creative one.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I did Chris Olave under 875.5 yards. Look,
I see the regression there.
He's one of the smoothest yard runners.
Mm-hmm.
He's already had 5 concussions in 2 seasons. If he gets hit in the head, he's going to be out. He could get traded. And when you look at the offensive line and who's throwing him the ball, I absolutely, positively love it. Those are my 2 bets on them. And in my other bet is on the Falcons, which I'll jump to real quick. I took Michael Penix under 3,000. Was it 3,400 yards?
I was going to say, I saw around 3,500, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, what if he just doesn't play the whole season? And even if he does.
So here's the thing. Cousins with injuries, and I don't know if you watched the quarterback show.
I did. I watched it all. Love that show.
Did you pick up how Cousins said that he was injured? And the Falcons didn't say anything at all, and that was the real reason he was benched. 7-7, averaged 250 yards per game. Penix was 1-2 as a starter, averaged just 186 yards per game, and that one win came against the Giants. Falcons 6th in total yards, 5th in passing yards, 10th in rushing yards, with Cousins getting more of the production. Now the offensive line is weaker. You're rolling out a rookie quarterback, basically a rookie quarterback only started 3 games, with a longer motion, no mobility, and a long injury history. Penix has only had one game one season where he's lasted the whole season. That was that year at Washington. He's a terrible fit for the offense. Sean McVay's system, where timing is everything, ball out of the hand, fast. That's not Penix. He wants to stand back, load up, throw deep. I don't think it works here. This is why they had to move London from the inside to the outside, because he doesn't throw to the inside of the field. 34 under 34.5 yards. My bold prediction is this, though. If he gets benched, I'm going to bet the Falcons to make the playoffs.
Sure.
I think we see a little.
He'd be a great rally quarterback. That's a guy you want to come in midseason and have your team go around.
Yep.
All right, let's talk NFC North. Before we get into either of our teams, I had no bets on the Vikings. I'm not very high on the Vikings. I did have one in the Bears. I've got Caleb Williams over 425.5 rushing yards. I think Ben Johnson's going to get him moving. And I think that just the way that the rushing yards he had last year were more panic yards than designed runs. It was not anything special. I think Ben Johnson's just a much better coordinator. And I think Caleb, that's the kind of quarterback he needs to be. He's not going to be a 5,000-yard passer. That's just not what he is. He needs to be mobile, needs to be an athlete. And I think this is the kind of offensive coordinator that'll have him do that.
My one bet from the Bears, Swift to have 1,000 yards plus 200.
There you go.
There are whispers him and Johnson didn't like each other. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry.
He had a weird season.
First full season, and he missed, like you said, half a season. I don't know if he's going to get the goal line touches, but the fact they didn't trade up for Gentry, the fact they didn't sign anyone, they just drafted Kyle Monagale late. You got Roscoe Johnson, who I really don't think is that big of a zone rusher. I think Swift is the guy with the split zone runs, the formation sweeps. They're going to lean heavy on the run, get Caleb comfortable. Swift is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs of this offense. And he is in line for an absolutely huge season. So I did him over the over 1,000 yards at plus 200. I got 3 more bets. You want me to hammer them out?
Go for it. So do I.
All right. This one effing pains me to say it. Oh, I got 4 more bets. Sorry. Josh Jacobs, I took his under rushing yards because we saw he had 358 touches last year, which is huge. History has shown us that when he gets that type of workload, regression follows. Think what happened in 2023 after his 2022 explosion. Obviously, Lloyd, who you mentioned, was out last year. They drafted him high, and he was there to get some touches. With him there, I really think I think Josh Jacobs' season happened because Lloyd was hurt. If Lloyd doesn't get hurt, Jacobs isn't having that type of season. They revamped their blocking scheme last year. They moved away from inside zones and more of a power grab. But then again, we talked about Banks earlier. Banks is a known zone blocker, and you signed him. That really doesn't make much sense to me. You know what I mean? Are you going to go back to zone running? Jenkins is moving to center. They paid him because he was upset. I think he's their best offensive lineman. They're switching to a zone. They're mixing in more schemes, coming off heavy touches. So I'm going to take him under his rushing total. But when I kind of look at what Jeff Haley did to this defense, 500 fewer rushing yards, half a yard less per carry, most players 16 with a sack. And they really only blitz 17% of the time, second fewest in the league. I think that's going to stay. I think it's going to change this year. I think we're going to see Van Ness, who's been a letdown, take a step forward. They're going to do more zone. No Alexander, I think, really isn't going to be that much of a problem because they were so zone heavy last year. They really didn't have that man-to-man lockdown guy. Youngest team in the NFL, still made the playoffs, stealing wins with Malik Willis. I love what LaFleur does at the line. He gives Love 3 plays. It's like, look, A, B, C. That's what you can run. And he allows Love to pick at the line. I think LaFleur is a sneaky play caller. I think he's able to relate to this team in a way that few people really understand. And he was winning games with Malik Willis.
Oh, yeah.
I took the Packers, and this kills me. This fucking kills me. 270 to win the North.
Nice. I too will have Packers plus 270 to win the North. I also have Josh Jacobs over, but it's his rushing touchdowns because I think his yards is going down. But I
Okay.
think, and they've shown in practice during training camp, he's getting the goal line touches. I think Lloyd rather is going to be more of a third down guy. I don't think he's necessarily going to take away. He had 15 rushing touchdowns last season. So I think 10 is definitely achievable. Let's talk about your Lions quick. I have 2 Lions bets, and then I'll let you go on it. Aiden Hutchinson.
I have a
go ahead.
Viking, I have a Vikings bet too.
Oh, what's your bet?
I mean, dude, under 8.5. I mean, look,
Good.
dude,
We're on the same page.
11-0 in 2022, 5-8 in 2023, 9-1 in 2024. Those are the records in one possession games. That's not sustainable at all.
We got a DJU sighting in the Hall of Fame game right now.
I know, and I have him in my DFS lineup, dude. I need him. Pythagorean win total they went over by 2, as I mentioned before. 32% of the time they're due for some regression. I think regression is staring him in the face. I'm not a JJ McCarthy guy. Even though he's got a top 10 offensive line, I think he's just basically a game manager. He's replacing Darnold, who surprisingly was a deep ball passer last year, 3rd in TDs of 20-plus yards. But that's not his style. I think this is going to be a dink and dunk type of thing. I think he's really going to struggle. 18th in pass blocking, 16th in run blocking. I got some questions. They bring in Jordan Mason. Is he going to take over for Aaron Jones? We saw the offense struggle last year when there was no Aaron Jones. Is Mason going to be the full-time back and Jones just the third down back? I think Addison is due for some regression. He's got some off-the-field issues going on with the DUI. I think Hawkinson is good for a good year. But when we look at the defense, this is my thing. Flores wants to bring pressure. And when your back 4 is Jeff Naduka and Isaiah Rodgers, that's just not going to cut it. Smith and Mashure are smart, but they can't do man-to-man. Due for regression, questions at the quarterback, 28th hardest schedule, coming off an overperformance in one-scoring games. Under 8.5 plus 135.
I agree, and I'm going to end up betting Vikings under 8.5. I am very happy you feel the same way. Lions, I've got 2 bets. Aiden Hutchinson, comeback player of the year. I love this one. I got it plus 430. I think he is absolutely the kind of guy that could win this award. And the second one isn't a bet. I considered it, and it was Laporta. His total on receiving yards is 675.5, but I don't know enough about this new Lions scheme. Talk to me about how this scheme is going to look, and let me know what kind of bets you got going with your Lions.
So you mentioned Laporta, 37 fewer targets, 26 fewer receptions, 106 fewer yards down the stretch. Still a weapon, but with a new play caller, we don't know what he's going to get. Jameson Williams is just not a route runner. I don't think Morton's going to be able to figure out how to do what Johnson was able to do with him. And the main thing is, Goff got thrown out of LA because he couldn't call plays at the line. Now they're asking Goff to call plays at the line. To me, that is just utterly disastrous for him. I like the defense. I think the defense is going to be the strong part of the team. Oh, no, sorry. You missed Frank the Tank. Zeitler's gone. That is 40% of the best line in football gone.
Yeah.
And now you're replacing them with Gatsow and the rookie from Georgia who you drafted to learn under Frank the Tank. And now why is Vitale getting run here to draft him? So mad questions. Obviously the defense, I love the defensive hire. They've been grooming Shepard to be the DC for a while. I don't think the defense is going to skip a beat. I think they're going to do more zone. I think they're going to take a step forward. Obviously with adding in Maddox and Reed, the back 4 is going to be better. Front, you mentioned Hutchinson. You're pairing him with Davenport, Reeder, and Williams. Defense is going to be good. But for me, I just feel new OC, new DC, key defenses, losses in the offensive line, asking Goff to do so much. I think this is a step backwards for the Lions. I bet them fucking 160 not to make the playoffs.
Whoa. That's your team, dude.
I know, dude, but I got bills to pay, man.
Fair enough.
Dude,
enough.
you got to remember, dude. I'm not like you, dude. I don't live the married life with a kid, dude. You know, I got a date with. I got 3 dates with 3 different women this weekend, dude. You know, I'm not. I got to pay those bills, bro. I'm not
You
living.
gotta
I'm
leave
not
those
hunkered,
ladies alone.
I'm not hunkered down like you are, my friend.
Well, I will be tending to that child shortly, but that was pretty outstanding. Shout out to the 20,000 people that came in and viewed this. That was sick. Eric, thank you very much for coming in and joining me. We go 2 hours and 10 minutes. He texted me about, being nerdy, and I told him, I said, brother, this is the space where we nerd out. So let's talk schemes. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So I appreciate it. Tell the people again, now that we have a bunch of people, where they can find you and when they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Etoft21sports all over the place. I have my live stream show comes out every Tuesday night, where right now we're going division by division, just kind of hyping everything up. I think we're going to be on the East next. Me and Jake, my buddy Jake, are going to talk about the East. My buddy Kyle and I are going to be doing a weekly DFS show anytime there's a football game, giving you a DFS lineup. And me and my boy Jim do some college football stuff Saturday morning. So I'm all over the place. This is kind of like my time to shine during football season.
I love it, man. Well, awesome time with you. Everybody, appreciate you coming in. We're going to have a college football stream in a couple weeks, I believe, heading into week 0, because that is coming right around the corner. Football is back. It's a beautiful time of year. Thank you again to everybody. This was really, really awesome. So we'll talk to you next time in a couple weeks. Later.